Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. And you may have had a very late night if you wanted to see the president give, as Jennings from CNN called it, his own political eulogy, not ending until after midnight. So I know on this program I had stated that I would watch it all and relay it to you. That was not factually accurate. If you're fact-checking me, that's a little late, folks. But of course, have seen the rebroadcast, etc. But the live broadcast was not in too many people's wheelhouses. Booting Biden one last time, this time out of the prime time speaking slot, because people like AOC, Hillary Clinton ran long. The DNC spin on it is there was so much enthusiasm, so much clapping and cheering that it just ran much longer than expected. Did you watch it? What did you think? We're going to be talking about it. We're also going to talk about our governor and what is arguably her biggest political speech of her career, and that was last night. We'll tell you what Governor Hochul had to say. A few things here about the campaigns in general. Most of the focus will be on the DNC, day one. A little bit maybe about what to expect today as well. First, let's go through some comments from yesterday's program that didn't make the cut due to time, much like Biden, that came in after the program aired. First off, this woman is not opposed to a woman being president. But not that woman, meaning Kamala Harris. Thank you very much. Another comment from a viewer. Good morning, Frank. Hey, good morning. Regarding your segment about nighttime talk shows, daytime talk shows should also be eliminated. Does that count? Does that count this? The host and their guests act like a bunch of children. They are extremely immature. They are silly, and therefore a complete waste of time. They should be used for, say, educational programs. Thank you very much. That was in reference to yesterday's talk about the late night shows becoming irrelevant, mainly due to the politicalization of the program, where it is now when you tune in to a Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, you're lectured on politics and you don't end up having a good time. So it's really for like-minded people. It's for people in their political bubble to laugh at the old stale cliche Trump jokes. That's what that's in reference to. A different comment from a different viewer, clearly a different comment. So it's 7:50. Oh yes, this came in last night. So it's 7:50 p.m. and I've already had as much as I can take of this racist DNC show. Where's the unity they speak of? Off goes my box. Well, thank you. 7:50. You missed a lot. There was some nasty, nasty rhetoric, wasn't there? When they talked about after the assassination attempt of Trump about unifying and not being so divided. Raskin talking about that Republicans could kill J.D. Vance. Just nasty. Now, when they voted on the platform, the Democrats passed their party's proposed 2024 platform. This is a part of the ceremony, if you will. They passed it with no amendments, despite the fact that the document omits Vice President Harris's first name. The only reference to Vice President Kamala Harris will refer to her by her surname, never even using her first name. 8 times it refers to the Biden-Harris administration. 16 times the platform refers to Vice President Harris. Interesting. You can find the 91-page document if you're interested online. But that did pass yesterday with no reference to Kamala even once. Now, Jill Stein. Jill Stein is a third-party candidate running on the Green Party ticket. She says that Democrats should abandon Kamala Harris. She was outside, Jill Stein was outside the Democratic National Convention along with those protesters. Quite a lot of protesters. They're trying to downplay it a little bit in the media like we predicted here on the show, saying not as many as originally expected. This is what Jill Stein, again, third-party candidate running for the Green Party presidential ticket. If you vote for genocide, you are consenting to it, and you are enabling it. Don't let them take you out of your humanity. Thank you to abandoned Biden, now abandoned Harris, for showing how we can use our voices and our votes to demand an end to genocide. Stein said she was especially grateful to abandoned Biden, now abandoned Harris. Now, if you recall, that was the votes that in many cases just did not vote in the primary to show their displeasure with, at the time, Biden, because remember, no one got an opportunity to vote for Harris one way or the other. She said about the abandoned Biden, now abandoned Harris group, that she thanked them for their incredible courage, for your vision, for your unstoppable determination here to stand up and lead the way forward, not only to stop genocide, but also to hold our highest officers of the land, to hold the White House and its occupants accountable for genocide. Because without that, there is no democracy. So abandon Biden, abandon Harris. Thank you so much for what you're doing, not just for the Arab American community, not just for the Palestinian community, but for all Americans. You are helping us assert our democracy again, our democracy that is on life support. She also called out Harris for failing to have a, quote, single challenging interview yet. So you can be sure the honeymoon will not last because the policies are what they are. Because this person has a track record that has put Americans into this moment of despair, this moment of struggle, this moment of agony. That agony is our foreign policy, and that agony is our domestic policy. That agony is very much a product of the Republican and Democratic parties. Do not think for a moment that the Democrat Party is the answer to fascism. It would be more accurate to say it's the cause of fascism. Why is that? It's because the Democrats have pushed this policy, the so-called neoliberal agenda of privatization, of austerity, of major tax giveaways to the super wealthy, and of endless wars. Wow. Jill Stein not pulling any punches. I think she could be very wrong when she says the honeymoon will not last. I think the honeymoon is going to last. And I think the culmination of it will be Harris's speech. When you see the coverage, and make no mistake, she will not be after midnight before she finishes. I do think you'll hear that it's one of the most amazing speeches ever given, because it's all on teleprompter. So you're not going to have the word salads. You're not going to have the flubs. You're going to have a very practiced and rehearsed speech that the media can then say is fantastic. It's a new candidate. It's a new moment for the Democrat Party. The writing's on the wall there, but we wait patiently for that Thursday night address from the vice president. I don't think we'll probably learn much. That seems to be the strategy of this campaign, which is to just get it into the barn. Let the clock run out to November. Yes, there is a little pushback about her not giving a press conference or any interviews, or saying that she would give an interview before the end of the month. Well, it is the 20th, so that time is nearing. But let's take a look at what CNN said were the takeaways from the first night of the Democratic National Convention. Biden said that the best decision he made in his whole career was choosing Harris as his running mate back in 2020. She'll be a president our children can look up to. She'd be a president respected by world leaders because she already is. She'd be a president we can all be proud of, and she'd be a historic president who puts her stamp on America's future. So the theoretical passing of the torch, the party which was deeply fractured just last month as pressure mounted on Biden to exit the race. Yeah, Nancy Pelosi, very close to turning into a mob movie, isn't it? Where now Nancy Pelosi is saying, I'm sorry, but I did what I had to do. Very Michael Corleone, Fredo-esque. So that's 6 takeaways according to CNN. So take it with a grain of salt. Biden takes a bow. We know that, of course. Clinton said the future is here. I'm not really sure. And then America is finally willing to break the glass ceiling. I'm not sure the chance of lock him up optically are a smart move. Now, what I mean here is, because you're going to say, well, Republicans are hypocrites on this. Because for the whole campaign of 2016, they kept saying lock her up, meaning Hillary. I think the clear difference is Trump didn't. Where in this instance, one of the things that actually ended up helping Trump was all this lawfare used against him. And it made a lot of people who may not have been Trump supporters switch and say, listen, I may not like the guy. Randy Quaid, the actor, said it. I may not like the guy, but this is wrong, and I'm not going to let judges make my decision for me. I'm not going to let this lawfare change my attitude. So I think there's something to be said there. That when the chanters at the DNC and at these rallies saying lock him up, there's already precedent that they are trying to lock up their political opponent. So I don't know. I as a Democrat, if you're out there tuning in, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Do you think, yes, it's kind of fun at first, as James Carville was talking about, the people are giddy, which we'll talk about in a moment. But is that a smart move when you've been accused, and rightfully so, of this lawfare, the weaponization of the judicial system, to go against your political opponent? Just because, for whatever you want to say about Trump, he did not lock Hillary Clinton up. But we'll continue. Next up, Clinton saying about Trump's attacks that they sound familiar. The crowd responded with chants of lock him up. Clinton paused and smiled. Later, she said it was no surprise, is it, that Trump is lying about Kamala's record. Sounds familiar. Oh, he's mocking her name and her laugh. Sounds familiar. So we have him on the run now. So no matter what the polls say, we can't let up. We can't get driven down crazy conspiracy rabbit holes. We have to fight for the truth. We have to fight for Kamala, as she will fight for us. Next up, it was a focus on abortion rights. No surprise there. Democrats downplay the war in Gaza. And then they put a spotlight on Project 2025. I know I've said this before. I know Project 2025 is mentioned quite frequently in the media and by Democrats. I had no idea what it is. The idea that it's some type of platform that is known behind closed doors to all Republicans, I think, is kind of laughable. It's something that, as far as I know, from all those that I talk about, is not something that is normally talked about, except for in the idea of where did this come from, what is it? But we'll talk more about the convention. I'd love to hear your opinion. I see some comments coming in. So keep them coming in. Keep the waves coming in. We're just getting started on this Tuesday morning edition, talking about DNC Day 1. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
If you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and have been diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call today.
Hustleton's Hot Spring Hot Tub Sales Event is going on now. New technology, cleaner water, easy to use, hot water made simple. Hustleton's, your locally owned and operated hot spring hot tub store since 1955, is offering huge incentives on their saltwater hot tubs. Deluxe lifters and steps, Bluetooth music, freshwater IQ, plus 0% interest-free financing options. Come to Hustleton's today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hustleton's Hot Spring Saltwater Hot Tub. Remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hustleton's.
You and tear your old statements and bills, but thieves use this information to steal your identity. Don't be a victim. Get the ID Police, the new ink roller that encrypts all your old documents. So before you throw it out, just roll it on, and your information is gone, both on the front and through the back. Even if the paper is held up to the light, even your medical information is safe with the ID Police. So block it out before you throw it out. Order now and get your ID Police for as low as $9.99 and get free shipping too. This offer is not available on Amazon, so call or click now to get your ID Police for as low as $9.99 with free shipping. Order now.
Call 1-800-898-1002. That's 1-800-898-1002 or visit getidpolice.com. So call 1-800-898-1002. Order now.
are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. I am your host, Frank Akam. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. We do not have a Steuben Senior Services Fund interview because I knew we'd want to talk about day one of the DNC. We will have some guests later on the week. Like, how about this? Don Berlew from Watkins Glen International will be joining us, I believe, on Thursday. And then on Friday, we'll be talking with Assemblyman Phil Palmisano. It's been a while. We've got to catch up with the Assemblyman. That's my fault, though. I've been so busy, and I know we've been saying we want to talk to Phil, so that works out perfectly. Okay, let's go to some comments from viewers. This week is not Republican nor Democrat. It is good is bad, okay? And laugh, but bad is good now. Every network will brainwash the people by wonderful Harris polls. Evil is good, no morals or rules. Just be happy. Yes, the polls and the coverage of Harris's speech is kind of already written, right? We already know what will be said. We'll know how it keeps momentum going, maybe even grows the momentum for Harris. It will be considered one of the most moving historical speeches, perhaps of all time. So thank you. A different viewer, comment from a different viewer. This, if you're not familiar, there's a viewer that said, I'm going to watch this open-minded and see if the Democrats can convince me. See if I can understand, walk away kind of with an understanding of their platform, of where they stand, and see if that resonates with me. I stayed up till past midnight. Oof. I toughed it through all the rhetoric, even listening to every yelling word of Biden like he's mad all the time. Yeah, that's kind of the new shtick. Also watched Tim at the brink of crying with his exaggerated frown while Biden spoke. They haven't won my support over yet. Going to try to tough it out, but not staying up till midnight each night. Yeah, that I'm not really sure if that was a smart move. Anyway, continuing. My takeaway was I'm glad I'm not falling for it, and hopefully they won't be running the country after the election. Thank you very much. Day one. Went through it till past midnight. Biden, this is very troubling, mind you. One of I think the biggest takeaways from Biden's speech is that he mentioned the anti-Israel agitators, the anti-Israel protesters that we've talked about that were at the DNC but have been on the streets of New York City, been at the universities. He says they have a point. Those protesters out in the street, they have a point. A lot of innocent people are being killed on both sides. We're working around the clock to end the civilian suffering of the Palestinian people and finally deliver a ceasefire and end this war. They have a point. So coddling the protesters, well, that should come as no surprise if you look at it. It's not just this administration. Columbia University has waved the white flag by failing to expel even one student who occupied the campus building, according to a new House report. The failure of Columbia's invertebrate administration to hold accountable students who violate university rules and break the law is disgraceful and unacceptable, said Representative Virginia Fox. More than 3 months after the criminal takeover of Hamilton Hall, the vast majority of the student perpetrators remain in good standing. By allowing its own disciplinary process to be thwarted by radical students and faculty, Columbia has waved the white flag in surrender while offering up a get-out-of-jail-free card to those who participated in these unlawful actions. I know I jumped around here going from the DNC to this, but they tie in because these protesters outside of the DNC know that they're going to be fine. Nothing's really going to happen to them no matter how raucous they get. They can spew their anti-Israel. And notice they're talking about it as protests at the convention, but not really focusing on the protesters or what they're saying. The vile language, the anti-Semitic, anti-American, anti-police rhetoric that they are spewing. So they know there'll be no punishment because there hasn't been punishment in Columbia. There hasn't been punishment on these universities. So they take over Hamilton Hall and nothing. They're still in good standing on the college campuses. There's no surprise where that elite New York City academy, where not a single Jewish student enrolled in Columbia, because they see the anti-Semitism. Why would you go to a place where you know administration is not going to protect you or keep you safe? But let's move along here. Back to the DNC. Sorry, little tangent there. Our governor made one of her most high-profile speeches of her career last night. drawing a contrast between the current and former president, telling attendees, if you think you're tired of Donald Trump, talk to a New Yorker. So before we go to our second break, most of you, the majority of you, are New Yorkers. So if someone were to come up to you and say, hey, I'm tired of Donald Trump, what would you say as a New Yorker? I've got to say, I know I've said it before, it's not being rude. I hope it doesn't sound rude. Governor Hochul, to me, her speeches are awkward in their simplicity. They're almost cliche political speeches where she tries to throw in a laugh line or tries to throw in some statement she thinks will gain a lot of traction and people will maybe put it on bumper stickers, but it falls flat. That every speech to me that she gives that I've seen always seem very high school debate team opening speech, maybe. And that's not really to knock high school debate. I've seen some pretty impressive high school debate teams. So I'm not really sure how to describe it. It just seems so cookie cutter, trying to be more hard-hitting than it is. And that's what it felt like last night. She said, we have kids to feed, roads to build, jobs to create, real problems to solve, and we need leaders who can get it done. Now, some would argue that Kamala Harris has been there 3.5 years. It has been stated numerous times by the press secretary and by others that Biden made sure Harris was in on every piece of legislation signed, that she was a part of every process. So why have we not fed the kids, built roads, created jobs, solved problems the last 3.5 years? I think it's a fair question. The roughly 5-minute speech was one of the most high-profile moments of Ms. Hochul's career, a political journeywoman. She assumed the governorship 3 years ago after the resignation of Andrew Cuomo and won a full term in 2022 by a narrower than expected margin. Got some waves coming in, thank you. She attacked former President Trump. Trust me, America, if you think you're tired of Donald Trump, talk to a New Yorker. And she spoke with pride of her own Irish Catholic upbringing in Buffalo, where grit, determination, and compassion were celebrated. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz grew up with those same values. Really? Interesting. So did you happen to watch Hochul's speech? I would love to know what you thought. We're going to talk a little bit more about Hochul, but I don't want to focus too much on it. We have a lot to get to, and I'm already running very, very late. So let me know. I'm guessing, and this is not a knock at all because I'm with you. You didn't stay up and watch all of Biden's speech late night, making it past midnight, no longer in prime time. Many of his supporters who already feel betrayed by the Democrat Party, also feeling very, very upset that he was pushed out of prime time, kind of one last insult, adding insult to injury, if you will, after booting him out, where that last night, well, not last night, but the DNC should have been about him running for re-election. Now, of course, his party ousting him in what some have called a coup. And now one last insult out the door, saying you're not going to make it in prime time because AOC's talking spot and Hillary's talking spot more important. So making it past midnight. We'll talk a little bit more about Hochul. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox, stay with us.
Stock up for summer and save at GCP Discount Liquors and Wines. Svedka Vodka, normally $20.99, is on sale for $18.99. Save up to $24 on a case with mail-in rebate. Your final cost, $12.99 per bottle. 1.5-liter Woodbridge wine, regularly $11.99, is on sale for $9.99. Save with a rebate of up to $24 on a case. GCP Discount Liquors and Wines and Horseheads, the best in service, selection, and price.
Great drivers change lanes very fast, but with no outside mirrors. How come they don't crash? Introducing Angel View, the new wide-angle mirror that reduces blind spots. Angel View simply snaps over your car's rear view mirror, giving you a 160-degree view behind you. Just look at the difference. Look, ordinary rear view mirrors are small and flat, but Angel View has a huge mirror with curved glass. This convex shape allows you to see both blind spots with one glance. And with our Pro Edition special coating, it's anti-glare at night. Get your Angel View now for just $19.99. But wait, Angel View may be discontinued. Due to rising costs, Angel View is stopping manufacturing effective immediately. Once the current inventory is gone, it's gone forever. Order now.
Call 1-800-897-0371 or visit getangelview.com. Order now.
Whether because of discomfort, lack of mobility, your lifestyle, or occupation, you sit inactively way too many hours a day. Introducing Ellipse, the premium quality automatic seated exerciser that strengthens legs, increases mobility, and boosts circulation without physical strain or impact.
It is so quiet that none of my coworkers even know I'm using it.
Strengthen and tone your legs, increase your mobility, flexibility, and balance. Plus, stimulate healthy circulation.
My joints feel better, my knees feel better, my back feels better. It makes me feel stronger too.
Perfect for home therapy. Whisper quiet to use while you work.
My circulation is moving, I'm burning calories, and it makes me feel energetic.
Call now and order Ellipse, the seated exerciser that strengthens legs, increases mobility, and boosts circulation. Call and get upgraded to the Deluxe Bundle. Get the faster motor for 5 miles of steps per hour, the step counter, the sport mat, and wireless.
And we are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. I'm your host, Frank Acom. Thank you so much again for joining us. Governor Hochul, starting right off the bat with a flub. She embarrassingly referred to Vice President Kamala Harris as, quote, the first president of the United States in her speech to delegates. Then she went after Trump, calling him a felon. That was a typical talking point and takeaway from yesterday's DNC. So Hochul began her remarks in what is arguably the biggest political speech of her career thus far, saying, "Are you ready to elect the first president of the United States?" This is what I mean about the awkwardness. At least I feel somewhat uncomfortable, or it's unsettling when you see a Hochul speech, because it does seem like someone that's really thinking they're giving a powerful speech, when in fact it's kind of cookie cutter. Donald Trump was born a New Yorker, but ended up a fraud, a philanderer, and a felon. He wasn't raised with the New York values I know. He never had to worry about childcare costs, groceries, or rent. He never had to worry about anything or anyone but himself. Trust me, America, if you think you're tired of Donald Trump, talk to a New Yorker. We've dealt with him for 78 years, and New Yorkers are sick of it. So it's not, then she starts with a flub, saying, "You ready to vote for the first president of the United States?" I don't know if that means George Washington, right in George Washington's name. But then she tries to, this is what I mean about the awkwardness, tries to make a joke about Florida. She says, "So it's no wonder he had to flee to Mar-a-Lago. Sorry about that, Florida." Yeah, muted applause and laughs at best. Trump hasn't spent much time in New York lately, except to be convicted of 34 felonies. Again, I don't think this works for them as well as they think it does, because of the lawfare used against the former president of the United States, the opponent of Biden, now Harris, does not sit well with some people who may not typically want to vote for Donald Trump. And she continued, "And that's just fine with us, because New York's motto is Excelsior, ever upward. And Trump takes us ever downward." Now, New York GOP chair Ed Cox and son-in-law to former President Richard Nixon released a statement ahead of the appearance by Governor Hochul, saying, "Under Kathy Hochul and one-party Democrat rule, New York is the highest taxed, least business-friendly state in the nation. Crime is on the rise across the state thanks to radical Democrat DAs and an illegal migrant crisis that Kathy Hochul and border czar Kamala Harris have allowed to spiral utterly out of control. Productive citizens are voting with their feet. Productive citizens are voting with their feet. as New York continues to lead the nation in outmigration. Kathy Hochul's New York is a disaster and a cautionary tale for what failed governance looks like in this crucial election year. Good statement from the GOP chair, Ed Cox. Okay, so we move from Governor Hochul, and I would love to hear your opinion on any of the people. One viewer saying that they thought Biden's daughter gave an amazing speech. Did you watch the DNC? Did you watch maybe just the clips? Anything stick out for you specifically? Will you be watching tonight? I think Obama speaks tonight. At the late hour is killing me. Biden, well, that we'll get to the kind of the disrespect of keeping Biden so late, but AOC brought the house down. I guess this is one of the new faces of the Democrat Party, no longer hiding behind, she's a little too progressive, but she means well time thing. Now she gets the spotlight. AOC delivered a rousing primetime speech Monday, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Serenaded by chants of AOC, the firebrand progressive brought a packed house at Chicago's United Center to its feet, with calls to deliver a win for Democrats up and down the ballot in November. Now, there's a couple ways to look at this. We know the Democrat Party in general is going more progressive. Van Jones speaking not that long ago about how the Democrats are now marbled with anti-Semitism, bigotry. That's Van Jones who said that, not me. Where you have these more progressive. Now, you could argue that some of the primaries shows that they're a little sick of the squad. But in this case, I do believe AOC is kind of the face of that progressive, extreme progressive part of the Democrat Party who maybe could be the heir apparent to a Bernie Sanders. Or you could look at it as she's becoming a sellout. We've heard that from some progressives where they're not happy with her because she's becoming a little bit too mainstream. We reported on that maybe a month ago now, where she's just a little too mainstream for them. And this would signal that she is pretty mainstream. Now, you could go back to when she attended the Met Gala and all that as well. But we will send a loud message that the people of this nation will not go back, AOC said. We chose a new path and open a door to a new day, one that is for the people and by the people. She praised Harris as a leader who cares about people, who punch a clock to earn a living. America has before us a rare and powerful opportunity. In Kamala Harris, we have a chance to elect a president for the middle class because she is from the middle class. What? Really? The showcase suggests Ocasio-Cortez has grown as a political force within the Democrat Party and a key messenger to young voters. This is coming from the far-left Daily News. 4 years ago, AOC was relegated to a 90-second cameo introducing fellow progressives Bernie Sanders. Let me take a short break. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox, stay with us.
What do you do when your tire goes flat and there's no air anywhere to fix that? You reach for Bullseye Pro, the smarter, faster, hands-free way to fill it up with air. Bullseye Pro is equipped with a rechargeable lithium-ion power plant. So fast, so strong, and so convenient. It's like putting the power of an air compressor in the palm of your hand. Look, you can inflate all 4 tires of your car on a single charge, or inflate a bag full of soccer balls at practice. Bullseye Pro is so advanced, it has a built-in smart pressure digital sensor that gauges and automatically stops when the set tire pressure is reached. Plus, it can be 100% hands-free. You simply set the target pressure and walk away, keeping you out of harm's way. Bullseye Pro is lightweight, durable, and powerful enough to inflate this massive monster truck tire. Plus, it has 4 ultra-bright LED lights to safely inflate at night. Bullseye Pro comes with 3 custom air nozzles on board, so you can easily inflate pool toys, exercise balls, and more. Forget driving to the gas station. Bullseye Pro is your anywhere, anytime inflation station. Call or go online now and get the complete Bullseye Pro inflation system, all for the factory direct price of just $79.99. It comes with a 90-day money-back guarantee. Plus, we'll ship your entire order free. That's right, free shipping. But to really inflate this offer, we'll give you a 50% discount on a second one. You get it all. An incredible value for one low price. Call or go online to order now.
To order, call 1-800-974-9753 or go to getbullseyepro.com. So call 1-800-974-9753. That's 1-800-974-9753 or order online at getbullseyepro.com. Order now.
It's a season of sharing.
Having a good time has always been my number one goal. I tend to get crazy. At my age, I should not be jumping up and down like that. And if you don't know what I mean, ask your mama. The young ones, y'all like, we don't know what you're talking about. But I promise you, in 30 years, you will.
It's the best time in daytime.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. on Big Fox.
All right, we have more comments coming in. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking, broadcasting live from the Hesselson Studio here on historic Market Street in Corning. A couple of quick comments from viewers. A lot of interaction this morning. I appreciate that. Let me know what you thought of the DNC. Our governor says all electric buses in 10 years, causing New York school taxes to triple. A $2 billion cost to schools in New York State. Bad governor. Yes, we've talked about that with Assemblyman Phil Palmisano extensively, and we will continue to do so because he'll be on the program on Friday. But it's not sustainable. The EV buses, the electric buses for schools, I mean, the cost for the infrastructure for the buses, it's shocking, and he'll have those numbers for us. Continuing along here, other comments. Their Trump trash talk is the toughest part to watch. They twist him to be Hitler. Yes, that we know that the whole focus, and I don't know how this brings unity. I don't know how this shows a path forward, but is about their hatred for Trump. Continuing, the Dems can't ever figure out that alienating over 50% of the American voter with all of their hate won't ever unite the country or woke up Trump supporters to their Picasso painting view of reality. They talked a lot about gun control, especially the assault rifle. I know a lot of Democrat supporters that have told me they will need to pry their guns from their cold, dead hands. Thank you for the waves there. And thank you for the comments. Yes, gun control is a major issue. That was one of the first things they really started talking about when Walls was put on as well. Hillary Clinton received, and this is interesting, she spoke last night. Hillary Clinton received what was arguably the loudest cheers of the night, even more so than what Harris received, because Kamala Harris attended last night. I think that was kind of, hey, if Trump's going to do it, I'm going to do it. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton received a standing ovation at the Democratic National Convention on Monday as she dug into her 2016 playbook, highlighting gender as a focus of the presidential election. After the roughly 1.5-minute long ovation, with cheers that appeared louder than they were for Vice President Harris herself earlier in the night, Clinton first thanked President Biden, leading to chants of "Thank you, Joe." It's got to be really awkward if you're Joe Biden, as these people praise you. Hillary did. Nancy Pelosi chanting around along with a "Thank you, Joe," knowing that these are the exact people that stabbed you in the back and ousted you. I mean, he's still, up until the end, still a good soldier. I mean, he's been loyal to the Democrat Party for 50-plus years, 60-plus years. Even though now they've stabbed him in the back, he's still willing to go along and toe the party line. Uncomfortable, to say the least. The 2016 Democrat presidential nominee went on to discuss the importance of women running for president, highlighting Shirley Chisholm's 1972 White House bid and Gerald D. Ferraro. I always can never remember how to say her name. Ferraro's 1984 nomination to be the first female vice president. If we can do this, we can do anything, Clinton said, reminiscing about her own presidential campaign. I'm not going to go through all of it because one thing I don't want to fall into is just quoting from speeches. You can watch the speeches yourself, but we know that she took numerous digs at Donald Trump. Donald Trump fell asleep at his own trial, and when he woke up, he made his own kind of history. The first person to run for president with 34 felony convictions. And that's when the crowd started yelling, "Lock him up," as she smiled and nodded. Again, I think the optics of that are horrible. I really do. And I don't want to keep using that term optics, but I think they are, because they've used this lawfare against a former president, their political opponent. Now you can say, well, Frank, did you have a problem with Trump's rallies where people were saying lock her up, meaning Hillary? He didn't. At the end of the day, he did not. Where this administration has attempted to do just that with the former president, with unprecedented charges, unprecedented twisting, especially with D.A. Bragg's. Basically now it doesn't matter if the statute of limitations is over. They can figure out a way to finesse it. I don't know. I guess that's what they're going to keep talking about. To me, it is not a good look after having weaponized the judicial system. Continuing, one last thing that I wanted to mention that Hillary said, we put a lot of cracks in the highest, hardest glass ceiling, and tonight we are so close to breaking through once and for all. So lock him up. Hillary Clinton smiles and nods amid chants echoing Trump supporters. The difference is one actually put it into effect, and that was the Democratic Party. So what did you think of these various speeches? Was there anything that stood out to you? Now, when we come back, we are going to talk about really this insult to President Biden, which is to keep the convention running long and allowing some of these speakers to run long so that he was not giving a speech during prime time. He was out of that window. Definitely insulting. One last kind of insult out the door. We're going to tell you a little bit about what he had to say. Boy, the media is glowing praise. It's such a world of difference when they're covering the RNC as compared to the DNC. Well, what did we have the report yesterday? 15,000 journalists ascending to Chicago to cover this. You can tell their happiness of being there. And then when you look at their reporting from the RNC, it's, well, I guess this is our job. We have to do with this. There's no fun. There's no excitement. Go to CNN. It looks like it's Kamala Harris's campaign website, CNN.com. They are giddy to be there. They're happy to be there. They love covering people that they support, and that's what we're seeing. Look at these waves coming in. Thank you so much. So you could just, I know they're using the term vibe, but you can feel the vibe from these quote-unquote journalists, and they're happy to be there. But let's talk for a moment about joy, right? That's the term they were using, that Kamala brings joy back to the campaign, that is joyful, her campaign. Is that what you felt from these speeches last night? Just look at the ones that I've highlighted. The nastiness towards Trump and his supporters. The spinning of, well, Harris is going to fix all these problems. Well, the problems that she's been overseeing for the last 3.5 years, I did not see personally what I would consider joyful. I mean, there's times, but joyful speeches. They were mostly negative, mostly focused on Trump. There seemed to be a lot of anger. So joy, not really a term I would use. Unifying is not really a term I would use either. Some really, really nasty rhetoric from some of the speakers. And some of the speakers, was it necessary? I'm going to ask you, especially if you watched it. Was it necessary for some of these speakers to be there that opening day? Meaning, okay, we're running real late. The DNC spin on that is that there was so much clapping and so much cheering and people having so much fun that it just ran late. Whatever the case may be, can't you cut one early on? You're starting to see the trend and say, hey, sorry, you got bumped. You're going to be on tomorrow. I mean, it's not ideal, but that goes to show you they don't really care that Biden wasn't on during prime time, which, again, to me is another insult to the president and one more just slap to the face on his way out the door. We're going to talk about it. We're going to read your comments. Stay with us. We got another break coming up. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox, stay with us.
Hesselson's Hot Spring Hot Tub Sales Event is going on now. New technology, cleaner water, easy to use, hot water made simple. Hesselson's, your locally owned and operated hot spring hot tub store since 1955, is offering huge incentives on their saltwater hot tubs. Deluxe lifters and steps, Bluetooth music, freshwater IQ, plus 0% interest-free financing options. Come to Hesselson's today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's Hot Spring saltwater hot tub. Remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
If you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer.
How do I know if I have a case?
Call 844-292-6222 and consult with one of our attorneys to find out if the products you used are part of the lawsuit. Your eligibility will also depend on how often you use these hair products and your specific cancer diagnosis. If you regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. Call 844-292-6222.
How much will it cost to talk to an attorney?
There is no fee unless we win your case. Call 844-292-6222 for your free case review.
And we are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's go through some viewer comments. If you are new to the program, you see that number on the bottom of your screen, 607-358-3131. You can reach out and comment at any time, text, or leave a voice message, and feel free to wave. Not doing too bad, 7 waves this morning. Okay, here we go. I did not watch any of the DNC because I didn't want to smash my TV, knowing that if a Democrat is speaking, they are just spewing out what they think will get them elected. They have the do as I say, not as I do mindset. In other words, you'll never see what they promised. Also, we have more important things to worry about than abortion, things like the economy, national security, and immigration. And let's face it, after 3.5 years, not a great record to be running on when in regards to the economy, national security, and immigration. So thank you. A comment from a different viewer. The only reason I find fascinating to be watching them, meaning the DNC, is their view of Republicans, yes, and revealing their battle plans. Yes, I do believe it's important to watch so you know what the talking points are going to be, you know which direction they're headed. And it is interesting to see what they think of Republicans and MAGA and Trump supporters and Trump, because there's just such a hatred and disdain. I mean, it goes back to the basket of deplorables comments, and each time it seems like there's a Democrat president or someone running for president as a Democrat, they say something that shows their true colors of what they think of Republicans and Americans in general that do not agree with them. The bitter clinger idea, like Obama had the bitter clingers, they cling to their guns and their Bibles. Okay. And I would love to hear from you if you are a Democrat. What did you think of last night's DNC Day 1? So critics are slamming this, I guess, the scheduling of the DNC for making Biden wait so long to speak. Washington Examiner chief political correspondent Brian York said, how late are Democrats going to make Joe Biden wait to speak? Lots of speakers left. If they keep them all in the lineup. Honest question. Is DNC running so late that Biden's speech gets pushed out of prime time? Is that a strategic move by Harris and the Democrats? Wondered Republican strategist Alex Conant. It very well could be. Just push them out so not as many people see them, not as many people stay up. National Review Twitter account said, for those keeping score, it's 10:30 p.m. and there are still 6 solo speakers on the official DNC schedule before Joe Biden takes the stage, plus an additional trio of speakers taking the stage together. Looking very likely Biden won't even take the stage until we're out of prime time. Christopher Hale, a 2020 Democrat delegate from Tennessee, said, we're 90 minutes behind schedule. It's unconscionable to have President Biden's address occur at midnight. We should postpone some upcoming folks and put the president up there soon. It says, and Britt Hume saying, it says a lot about the Democrat Party that would not ask its abortion speakers to wait a while so that their president could speak at a reasonable hour on a night supposedly devoted to him. Yes, that night was, allegedly anyway, devoted to Biden. And kind of the history of Biden on his way out the door. One person, Scott Jennings from CNN, put his own political eulogy, and that's not a positive term. So on the day that's supposed to be him, they put what some are calling C-listers, B-listers, up there just to bump him out of the primetime slot. And you can't underestimate how important that primetime slot is. How many people tune out when it's over, when it gets too late, when it goes automatically to local news. Who is this? Mary Catherine Ham said, Democrats mean girl with the best of them. Fly on up, Joe. We'll give you a speaking slot. Prime time. We're going to give you your flowers. Never mind, a bunch of C and B listers had to speak, and now you speak at midnight. Good luck, sundowner. Listen, for how dirty they did Biden after his loyalty all those years, and then they have the coup. They stab him in the back. The fact that he was even there, willing to hear from people that were a part of that ouster, hear them praise him like Nancy Pelosi and others, that is belittling enough. But then to be, as Mary Catherine Ham, I think it's a great point, as B and C listers push him out of the primetime slot. Was, as the one consultant said, was it a calculated move by the Harris campaign and by Democrats? Boy, it sure would seem it. Because when you start looking at mathematically, when you're making a schedule, just like when you have guests on this program, you start to know when you're going to run late, when you're going to be short. And they knew, like that one viewer, at 10:30, it was already impossible for him to make primetime if they kept on that schedule. And like they said, it was really necessary to have, but it's also very telling of the Democrat Party to have their abortion speakers on and kill that time to again push Biden out of the primetime slot. Thank you for the wave. So what did you think? We got another break, last break of this hour. Boy, we're moving fast on DNC Day 1 edition of Frankly Speaking. I do have a couple announcements I think we'll make later on of some events coming up, some local issues coming up. Oh, one thing, we had Sheriff Allard on last week, fan favorite, Sheriff Allard. And he had mentioned quickly the 8th annual Law Enforcement Memorial Golf Tournament. Well, that's coming up this Friday at the Bath Country Club. If anyone is interested, I actually have some sign-up forms. There are some spots available, not a lot, but I know we just glanced over it quickly in our interview. So if anybody has any questions or you want to find out more, I can email you the documents to sign up. All teams must include one member with law enforcement affiliation. That is 1 point. Registration is $400 per team. Check-in and breakfast is at 9 a.m. Shotguns start at 10 a.m. There'll be cash raffle items, 50-50 raffle, and many door prizes. Registration is limited to 24 teams. Once filled, a waiting list will be started. So I think there are a few spots left. And there's also sponsorship opportunities, like whole sponsor, memorial sponsor, beverage cart sponsor, those type of things. So if you want to find out more, you want me to send you that information, just go ahead and text me at that number on the bottom of the screen, and I will pass that along to you. I had some people ask me about it, realizing that we talked about it on the program but never went into depth. Okay, last break of hour number 1. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Attention, Elmeron may lead to vision loss.
If you have suffered vision problems after taking Elmeron to treat bladder pain, call the Hearn Law Firm. Elmeron may be responsible for your vision problems, and you may deserve compensation for your injuries.
If you took Elmeron and now have vision problems, call the Hearn Law Firm at 888-308-3866 right now. You could find out if you qualify in less than 2 minutes. Call 888-308-3866 for your free case review.
Hi, I'm Sam. Welcome to Pangea Global Tea House.
Pangea Global Tea House offers comfort foods of the world. Over 50 teas, a sampling of cuisine from over 10 countries. Globally inspired cuisine and striving to give you an ultimate experience. Come in and try the frankly delicious Turkey Club special for just $20, including your beverage of choice. Pangea Global Tea House. Yet a really good tea house bringing you the flavors of the world, offering something for everyone.
The Bix website is here now. WYDCTV.com. Local and national news that keeps you informed and involved. WYDCTV.com. Today's weather up to date and in your town. WYDCTV.com. Sports news, local events, and health stories that affect you. WYDCTV.com. The Big Fox website. Your news here now. WYDCTV.com.
And we are back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. We have a lot of great comments coming in from viewers, and I don't want to rush it right here at the bottom of the hour, so I'm going to read all of your comments at the top of the hour. So make sure you stay tuned, because we have Ken has weighed in on watching the DNC last night. We want to make sure to focus on all of these great comments from all of the viewers. So that'll be coming up in just a little bit. Biden did bid adieu. Couple of little issues in his speech, a little bit of mangled words at some point. We'll talk a little bit about what he had to say. Again, I don't want to fall into the trap of quoting, but we'll take a look at what some in the media have had to say about it, some of the bias out there, some of the people that I think rightfully so. If you're a Biden supporter and you go, hey, I voted for this guy to be our presidential nominee, I voted for him, and you out of a whim ousted him, pushed him out, and now you don't even let him speak during prime time. I mean, it's wrong. I think a lot of Biden supporters have a right to be upset because, again, remember, the people there, the delegates, really, at the end of the day, the only one there that received the vote to be the presidential nominee for the Democrat Party was the man who spoke last night, Joe Biden. But, of course, because of that backdoor coup, you now have Kamala Harris. So I can understand if you have been a loyal Biden supporter, may not sit that well. Now, they're not talking about it loudly because, let's face it, anybody but Trump in their mind, right? They don't want Trump. But that's still got to sting. And the one last insult, the one last slap in the face is you don't even let the man that the Democrat Party voted to be their presidential nominee, you don't even let him speak during prime time. Because as Mary Catherine Ham, or whatever her name is, said, you wanted to have B-listers and C-listers speak before, or you wanted to have those abortion rights advocates speak. Boy, it's got to sting. They said that Biden's holding a grudge. Now, he said last night he's not, but behind the scenes, he's got to be fuming on how this all went down from beginning to end. And it's more of just a fun thought that Biden has got to be rooting for a Trump presidency. The only reason being is that then he can say to these people that stabbed him in the back, see, I told you I was the only one that could beat Trump, but you knew better. And so you put Harris in, and now look what you got. I know that maybe that's just me kind of laughing behind the scenes, but you almost got to think in the back of his mind there isn't at least a little bit of that, just because of how dirty they ended up doing him in all of this after his loyalty all those years. Well, we are going to read viewer comments when we come back, dive into what some are saying about Biden's speech and about the DNC day one in general, and get your take. That is the most important point. Get your take. You see the number on the bottom of the screen. Let me know what you thought of last night's convention. Thank you to all of those who actually stayed up and watched it, the full thing. So they're giving us their commentary, and I really appreciate it. But let's take that break. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox will be right back.
Wow, you found it.
I did.
The History of Water Part 6? I've been dying to read this.
I know, honey.
I always wanted that book.
At Culligan, we get that most people don't think about water like we do, and that's okay. You see, when we install one of our high-efficiency water softeners, we're thinking about hard water and limescale buildup, so you can just think about longer-lasting appliances and softer skin and hair. At Culligan, we think about your water, so you don't have to.
Call today to schedule your free water test.
I'm Mary. I've lived here for 70 years, but I do fine right here in my house, and I want to be here as long as I can be. And I feel comfortable knowing that if something happened to me, someone would know because of the cameras that are installed in various spots in my home. That has been a wonderful gift to me, to be able to have that security and that support from Full Circle America, and that's what it's all about.
The tradition, the atmosphere, the pageantry, and the passion. It's Big Noon Saturday. Drew Aller and Penn State take on West Virginia.
Watch out!
It's Big Noon Saturday.
Hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. I'm your host, Frank Acom. Thank you so much for joining us, putting together all of these comments from viewers. My goodness, thank you, everyone, for sending in what they thought of DNC Day 1. Let's start the second hour with these comments. First up, the only joy I felt, because I posed a question, did you think there was a feeling of joy there, or these vibes that the media keep talking about, or when in regards to Harris? Well, the only joy I felt was being proud of myself for the mental strength to continue watching it. That's fair. A real test of my determination to continue to watch the DNC will be listening to Obama. That's tonight, by the way. I can't ever forget him sending pallets of cash to our enemies. Now, also stuck in my mind is Biden topping Obama's cash giveaway by leaving billions of dollars of weapons with them as well. Thank you very much. Next up, I'm sure you were in bed. Yes. You can only hold out so long when the alarm goes off at 3:30. I'm sure you were in bed, but I stayed up and watched Biden, and it was awful. He screamed at us again and was angry. Listen, that's been a common point by many, that it was that anger, that new, I don't know if it's new, but we noticed that in the debate. The whisper always gets me too, but the screaming during the debate, the yelling, suggesting that that Biden may be the #1 Halloween outfit this year. Probably that could very well be. That's a good point. Next up, why did Biden get a thank you? Inflation, a weak military, the worst economy in our country's history, wars all over the world. Yeah, and yet it was still a celebration last night of Biden's record. And keep in mind, that's Biden-Harris's record too. You know, to hear our Governor Hochul, talk about we need to feed the kids and build roads and fix the economy, we have to then ignore the fact that Harris has been in the White House for 3.5 years. Why didn't she start day one 3.5, nearly 4 years ago? I think that's a very fair question, because remember, the Biden administration has made it clear that Harris was a part of all negotiations, all conversations on legislation. So this idea of we're going to fix all these things that ail us, well, she's been there for 3.5 years. Why didn't you help the American people with inflation, with the economy? Why didn't you help us before? It is very, very frustrating. So thank you, viewer. Next up. When I listen to Kathy Hochul's speech, I can't help to think she is channeling one of Cloris Leachman's characters from Mel Brooks movies. Either Frau Blucher, I can't remember how you say that. Boy, it's been so long since I watched Young Frankenstein. Or Nurse Charlotte Diesel from High Anxiety. You know, that's a very good comparison with Cloris Leachman. I couldn't put my finger on it. Watching her speeches, to me, and this is Governor Hochul, are just awkward, because it always seems like she's really proud of herself and she thinks she's going to get that one line in there that either gets a laugh or really dings Trump or whatever the issue is. And she tried that yesterday, saying, oh, Trump had to run away to Mar-a-Lago. Sorry, Florida. And no one laughed. You know, she makes these, it just seems like, and I don't like to insult high school debate teams because they do a wonderful job, but a high school debate team with the one student thinks they really have a powerful speech that just falls flat. That seems to be every one of her speeches. And it's not even a knock on her necessarily. It may sound it. It's just my feelings every time she gives a speech. So thank you for that. That's a very good comparison. Young Frankenstein. Great movie. Okay, this is from Ken. Ken says, my wife and I watched night one, to the end. Wow. And we'll watch again tonight. It's painful, but if you're going to fairly assess both sides, you have to listen in real time, because the news won't give you an accurate portrayal of what was said. Absolutely. And you see that this morning with the way they have twisted things. And Harris is going to be the worst. The bias for the media is going to be the worst come Thursday. And we're all prepared for it. We all know it. Harris's speech will be historic. It'll be groundbreaking. It'll be one of the best speeches ever given at a convention. It will have turned the race around. The momentum will keep on going, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But this is Ken's thoughts. Here we go. All the same provable lies repeated. Good people on both sides. Yes, he did Biden did bring that lie up, that debunked Charlottesville lie that he continues and has continued his whole last 4 years to mention. Continuing Project 25, the Fed banning abortion, losers and suckers. Trump will cut Social Security and Medicare. Crime down under Biden. Most jobs ever created under Biden. Border crossing less than under Trump, and on and on. Yes, they're lying talking points. Did you see, and I know we ran out of time yesterday, but I talked about it very quickly at the end of the program. Ken has more comments. Hold on, I'm just getting on a tangent. Where Don Lemon was interviewing people in New Jersey, of all places. Deep blue New Jersey, and they were saying why they supported Trump. And the one guy says, because I can't afford things. I don't have any money in the bank. I'm paraphrasing. And Don Lemon actually says, well, I understand you feel that way. He actually used the line that we always use on this show to kind of mock. We know you feel this way, but I have stats. I have documents right here that proves that is not true. So that idea, and I know we've said it a million times, but never mind what you're seeing, experiencing, feeling when you go to the grocery store, you go to the gas station. Never mind those things, because Don Lemon and the Harris-Walz campaign have a sheet of paper with statistics on it that actually show you are better off than maybe any other time in history. Now, again, don't look at your bank receipts. Don't look at your savings and checkings account. Don't look at your receipt when you go to the grocery store. We had a viewer, how much did they say they spent the other day on just a couple small bags, $170? I spent $50 yesterday just basically to make dinner by going to the grocery store. So I understand it. But yes, Don Lemon saying, no. Okay, but I'll continue. I'm sorry. I don't want to run on a tangent on every one of your points here, Ken, but I appreciate it. Next up on Ken's kind of relay of what he saw last night. I may be uneducated about AOC's situation before political life, but I thought her family was very well off. In her speech, she said her family had to struggle with foreclosure, implying she was very poor. Which is it true? I don't know. I know she was the one thing that they would highlight a lot, that she worked as a bartender before going to Congress. I'm uneducated on her background as well, but something we should get educated on, because apparently she is the up-and-coming star of the party. A lot of focus on her at a time when they were distancing themselves, not that long ago. Distancing themselves from her far left beliefs. Now she is kind of sold out, and that's not my words, that's progressives. She is sold out, become mainstream, and boy, she seems to be a star if you watch the speech last night. Continuing, Kamala didn't look happy during most of Jill Biden's speech. I also wonder if she was upset when Hillary spoke, because many people are saying that Hillary Clinton received bigger cheers, louder cheers, longer ovation than Kamala did when Kamala attended yesterday. But yeah, she didn't look happy during most of Jill Biden's speech. There's probably no love lost between the two, if you want to be honest. Next up, Tim Walz had a continuous exaggerated frown. Weird. I hate the term weird, but I know what you're doing there, Ken. Yes, you're not the first one. You're not the first viewer to say that. That there was exaggerated frown the whole time. That goes back to what I said when Walz was first introduced to the country. Because remember, what was it, like 91 or no, it was 71% of the American people had no idea who he was before he was picked. But when he gave that speech, I said he's folksy in a very, very fake way. That's why when you mention the exaggerated frown, it's very similar. He's folksy in the sense of he's going to have those little sayings, and the media's going to run with it and say, look how cute he is. Look at how charismatic he is. Look at the father figure that we all need. And he's now America's dad. If you haven't heard that, that's what they're trying to present him as, America's dad. So he does all this aw shucks kind of stuff, where it got very old with Biden, with the come on man and the malarkey, but it didn't seem malarkey a little bit maybe, but it didn't seem forced with Biden. He had just been saying it his whole life, and sometimes he said it too much, and it got overused and cliche. With Walz, it's almost like he has to practice being down home and folksy. That's just my opinion. Continuing, Biden's angry speech. Hey, you're not the only one saying it, including some incoherent mumbling, obviously written by someone else and read from the monitor. Yes, absolutely. We'll get to that mumbling here in just a moment. I really saw nothing new. Praise themselves and demonize the other side while telling us not to believe our lying eyes. Yeah. You couldn't be more right, Ken. Thank you for the analysis. I appreciate it. And I appreciate everybody who stayed up, bit the bullet, and watched until well past midnight. Biden having an emotional speech saying, "America, I love you," after being introduced, as one viewer said, by what the viewer believed was a fantastic, phenomenal speech by his daughter, Ashley Biden. The crowd chanted, "Thank you, Joe." Do you see who was a part of that chant? Nancy Pelosi. Man. You can't even say they stabbed him in the back. I think they don't stab him in the back. They want to look you in the eye when they do their dirty work. I've got 5 months left in my presidency, and I have a lot to do, said Biden. I intend to get it done. And then, it's been an honor of his lifetime to serve, those type of things. Then he praised Harris, and Harris was his pick. Many speculating that behind the scenes that Obama and other kingmakers in the Democrat Party wanted maybe Mark Kelly, someone like that. So some have speculated, myself included, that Biden being pushed out wanted to show that he had one little more grasp on power and said, I'm endorsing Harris. So therefore, that kind of cut them off at the knees, and they couldn't go with somebody else. I don't know. It's just something to think about. But again, and if you're a Democrat watching, I'd love to hear your take on it. Does it bother you that kingmakers, the Democrat elites, told you who you will be voting for? Because if you think about yesterday's convention, and they showed Kamala Harris, and it was a surprise appearance by Kamala Harris. If you think about it, and look at Kamala Harris, and you look at Biden, only one person in that room received votes to be the Democratic nominee to run for president of the United States. And that was the man who gave the speech last night, Joe Biden, where Harris did not receive any votes to be the Democrat nominee, and yet she gets the hero's welcome, and yet she is the one who this week is all about. And last night was supposed to be, that one day was supposed to be about Biden, and they pushed him out due to these low-level speeches, pushed him out of primetime. Talk about insulting. Biden ended up speaking at 11:27 p.m. Eastern, limiting the number of live viewers. About half of Americans live in the Eastern time zone. He wrapped up well after midnight in New York. A Biden aide, and we're going to talk more about this because I realize I'm running late. A Biden aide told Axios, far-left Axios, "This is awful. He literally set up a campaign and handed it over to them," meaning Harris. "Do they have to cut him out of primetime?" Now, one thing that was interesting, well, I think it's very, very, very troubling that he talked about the anti-Israel, anti-Semitic, anti-American protests outside of the DNC, saying that they've got a point. Very troubling takeaway, in my opinion. Also, I thought it was interesting that he said when he began his political career, he appeared to be too young and ended it seeming, quote, too old to stay as president. Boy, that's sad. It adds, and I don't want to use the term pathetic. I've tried to avoid that. But you have a party that stabbed you in the back, and now they're there praising you, those same people, the Nancy Pelosi's, the Obamas, etc. And then they kick you out of prime time, and then you have that line in there that probably somebody else wrote for you. Kind of sad way out the door, isn't it? And that's, again, my theory that Biden would want a Trump presidency, and the reason for that is so then he can say to all the kingmakers and the elites, I told you I was the only one that could win. And you knew better. It could be his last saving grace, because that does not come off as, I don't know, a good bookend to your career. But he gave the whole Charlottesville, these type of things, kind of a typical speech. But I would love to hear your thoughts on Biden bidding adieu last night, or as Scott Jennings from St. Anne put it, they forced him to read his own political eulogy. We'll talk about what he had to say and many others. Keep those comments coming in, and we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking.
It's the Chevrolet Summer Drive Sales Event and Blaze Alexander Chevrolet Buick GMC of Mansfield. The brand new Traverse is here. We have 5 in stock and they're ready to roll. Plus, we have the all-new Equinox EV on the lot. We're offering discounts and rebates as much as $11,000 on new Silverado 1500s and up to $6,000 on Silverado 2500 and 3500s. Get rates as low as 1.9% on much of the new Chevy lineup. Stop and shop or check us out at BlazeChevyMansfield.com, because we're taking the deals the other guys won't.
Need a dumpster? Call Frenzy's Disposal.
Franzi's Disposal offers dumpster delivery and pickup, perfect for commercial projects, home renovation projects, or construction waste disposal. Serving Schuyler, Chemung, and Steuben counties, we offer 10 and 15-yard roll-off dumpsters with competitive pricing, no contracts, a 9-day rental period, and we deliver in a 30-mile radius. Make construction debris, household demolition, and home cleanup easy. Call Franzi's Disposal today.
Franzi's Disposal, now offering demolition services.
Whether because of discomfort, lack of mobility, your lifestyle, or occupation, you sit inactively way too many hours a day. Introducing Ellipse, the premium quality automatic seated exerciser that strengthens legs, increases mobility, and boosts circulation without physical strain or impact.
It is so quiet that none of my coworkers even know I'm using it.
Strengthen and tone your legs, increase your mobility, flexibility, and balance. Plus, stimulate healthy circulation.
My joints feel better, my knees feel better, my back feels better. It makes me feel stronger too.
Perfect for home therapy. Whisper quiet to use while you work.
My circulation is moving, I'm burning calories, and it makes me feel energetic.
Call now and order Ellipse, the seated exerciser that strengthens legs, increases mobility, and boosts circulation. Call and get upgraded to the Deluxe Bundle. Get the faster motor for 5 miles of steps per hour, the step counter, the sport mat, and wireless remote. Call now.
And we are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. This is Frankly Speaking. Comment from a viewer. I'm a Republican, but I kind of feel sorry for what the turncoat Democrat Party has done to President Biden. I've got to admit, I kind of do too. It's the same feeling of when we were watching the debate against Trump. And it wasn't oh boy, that was bad and you're laughing about it. It was a genuine distressing feeling, a kind of a sadness, not because I support his policies or what he's done, but it was this is an unhealthy man that the Democrat Party at that point was propping up. They should have never done this to him. And the same goes last night when he made that line. I started, everybody told me I was too young, and now I'm too old to be the president. It's just a kind of a sad bookend. So you have his own party that he has been blindly loyal to for 60 plus years, blindly loyal to, at the end, stab him in the back while looking him in the eye, as we learned last night, pushing him out the door, a coup as some people call it, and then having him speak at the convention and it gets pushed outside of prime time by no-namer guest speeches. And then it seemed very, very insulting. I can understand why they claim behind the scenes he kind of holds a grudge over all this. I would not blame him. And by the way, with all these comments we received today, maybe after the DNC or after a debate or State of the Union, you watch some of the different outlets and you hear from their analysts or their contributors or their talking heads and their pundits, who has a better lineup of contributors, correspondents, pundits, analysts than Frankly Speaking? I don't know. I don't know of any, because you comment throughout the whole program. You're getting much better analyzation of last night's DNC by watching this program than any other program on television, because of all these great comments coming in from viewers. So thank you so much. That's why we're proud of Frankly Speaking and proud of what we're able to get across with these amazing comments. Now, as I mentioned, CNN's Scott Jennings, he's the Republican political consultant at CNN, but I thought he had a very good point on this. Jennings said Biden is known in his career as being one of the best eulogy givers at funerals. And now they're making him come and give his own career eulogy. And now they're making him give his own eulogy. I'm anxious to see how he handles it. This is before the speech. I mean, he was bullied out of the race after 52 years of service to the Democrat Party. And it wasn't all about his age. He was unpopular. Yeah, again, it wasn't about his age. It wasn't about his mental acuity. It's just the polls were going in his favor, so they booted him out. Not for the safety of the country, not for the future of the country. It was because it doesn't look like you can win any longer. But I'll continue. He was going to lose. It was Afghanistan. It was immigration. It was inflation. And he had to be dragged out by the fingernails. I'm sorry, he's not here in a happy moment. This yarn that is being spun in this hall that he was popular and selfless and handing off, no, it is the opposite, and everybody knows it. Yet the Democrats are engaging in this theater of looking at the cameras and saying it as though it's not true. Yeah, he didn't go gracefully. It's quite the opposite. It is quite the opposite. Wow, all these comments coming in. So Pelosi, one of the people that did arguably the most damage, was seen chanting, "We love Joe." Remember, after she did this, after she helped with the ouster of Biden, she also said, we need to put Biden on Mount Rushmore, trying to get back in his good graces. But she was chanting, "We love Joe." Now, before that, declining to confirm whether or not she has spoken with Biden since he dropped out, she contended that what she did was necessary, right out of a gangster movie, a mob movie. She said, sometimes you have to take a punch for the kids, for the children. I did what I had to do. I did what I had to do. That sounds like every mob movie, every, murder type movie where I did what I had to do. My concern was not about the president. It was about his campaign. Wow. So even admitting it was never about his health. It was never about his well-being. It was never about the country's well-being. Again, proving yet again, it was all because it didn't look like he would be elected. And they can't have that. They can't have Trump. So, hey, thanks for your 50 plus years of service. See ya. See ya, buddy. And by the way, she wouldn't confirm or deny. One time when they said, have you talked to him? Are you still friends? Pelosi said, well, you would have to ask Joe about that. So that means no. I would not imagine anybody that's even close to being a friend or an acquaintance even where you'd say, well, you'd have to ask him or you'd have to ask her. That means you're not friends any longer. So Nancy Pelosi defending herself over the beef with Biden, saying, I did what I had to do. We got a ton of comments coming in. I've got a really good piece coming up next from Dan McLaughlin. Dems bury an angry shouting Joe Biden at 11:30 p.m. in one final disgrace. But again, the most important pieces here, the most important thoughts about last night's DNC come from you, the viewer, and I see a lot more come in, so stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox, stay with us.
Hesselson's Hot Spring Hot Tub Sales Event is going on now. New technology, cleaner water, easy to use, hot water made simple. Hesselson's, your locally owned and operated hot spring hot tub store since 1955, is offering huge incentives on their saltwater hot tubs. Deluxe lifters and steps, Bluetooth music, freshwater IQ, plus 0% interest-free financing options. Come to Hesselson's today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's Hot Spring saltwater hot tub. Remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Hi, I'm Sam. Welcome to Pangea Global Tea House.
Pangea Global Tea House offers comfort foods of the world. Over 50 teas, a sampling of cuisine from over 10 countries. Globally inspired cuisine and striving to give you an ultimate experience. Come in and try the frankly delicious Turkey Club special for just $20, including your beverage of choice. Pangea Global Tea House. Yet a really good tea house bringing you the flavors of the world, offering something for everyone.
I'm Jonathan Lawson. If you're 50 to 85, please listen closely. The lock I want to talk to you about isn't the one on your door. It's a rate lock for your life insurance that guarantees that once you're insured, your rate can never go up at any time for any reason. Many policies you see don't have one, but you can get a lifetime rate lock from Colonial Penn. This plan was designed for people on a fixed income with coverage options that start at $9.95 a month. That's less than 35 cents a day. Your rate is locked in for life. Coverage can never be canceled, and your acceptance is guaranteed. You cannot be turned down because of your health. See for yourself. Call for an information kit and gift. Both are free with no obligation.
Call 1-800-781-9990 for your free information and your free gift. That's 1-800-781-9990. 1-800-781-9990. Call now.
And we are back with Frankly Speaking. Are we having fun this morning or what? Wow. We have so many comments coming in. I missed a few. We'll try to get to all of them before the end of the program. But let's go through these set of comments from you, the viewer, the actual analysts, the actual pundits. That's why we have the best show on TV. Let's go to it. I just can't help but think to make Biden flip within days, they must have given him some sort of cash payment. As well, perhaps around $5 million. I say because the first started to talk of the war chest, it was $100 million, then it dropped to 95. Maybe. There you go. There's some speculation. I really think it was the lack of confidence from everyone around him, and I don't know. Hey, how about this for a comment? And this is why we have the best analysts on TV. This from a viewer. You're on top of it today. We sure are. We are on top of it today. We're doing great. Next up, right now, the way I feel, and I'm a Republican, a dog and cat could be running against Her Majesty and Tim Walz, and I would vote for the dog and the cat. Thank you very much, viewer. Here we go. Good morning, Frank. Good morning. I watched the DNC convention with an open mind. It was completely disgusted. The Democrat Party is a party of division, and they have no idea how to correct problems Americans are facing. There was no mention about their policy to fix the economy, immigration, and all the endless wars. All the speakers last night are totally out of touch with reality, and their position is very clear: to completely destroy America. These individuals believe they can make you think they are uniting Americans. I'm not fooled by their rhetoric. If this ticket is elected, the United States of America will be completely destroyed and will be unrecognizable like Russia, North Korea, Cuba, China, and Venezuela. And I heard someone say, and this comment's not done, I heard someone say that if you're being accused by your opponent of being a communist and a Marxist, maybe your first policy position out of the gate shouldn't be price fixing. And I thought that was a really good point. I don't remember who said it. But, if your opponent's calling you a communist, maybe don't get up there and offer, again, your first policy substance of a policy is price fixing. But continuing with what this viewer had to say, the Democrat Party is about changing America into a communist country, and they tell that to your face. We all must understand this will be our last chance to save America. Rob. Thank you, Rob. Thank you for the comment. All right. Here we go. Morning, Frank. Good morning. I've been watching your show for a while now, but I'm not sure what a wave is. Well, great. We have a second to recap. If you look at the bottom of your screen, you see the little hand that's waving. A wave started with people walking by, because we're right here on historic Market Street broadcasting from the Hesselson studio, and people jogging or running in the morning would wave. And so we thought it'd be interesting to keep track of how many waves we received during a show. But then we realized, and it took me way too long to realize this, I still count them, but I don't want people waving on the street, because that means they're not home watching, Frankly Speaking. So that's when an astute viewer, or a few astute viewers, said, hey, I'm going to send you a text that either says wave, that's the emoji of the wave. Some people sent a wave like a tidal wave, and that counts because that means you're watching, and that's added to the list. So that number on the bottom of the screen, 14, that's how many waves we've received this morning. And sometimes I count the good mornings, but there hasn't been a lot of people on the street. I think our record was 38 waves in a day. All right, enough on that. Dan McLaughlin, he says the Joe Biden show is officially in reruns. Biden even got bumped out of prime time. His speech started at 11:28 p.m. in the hour when old sitcoms run in syndication. This was not an accident. The first night of the Democratic convention was Losers' Night, featuring Biden and Hillary Clinton, along with duds like Kathy Hochul and zealots like AOC. It's an interesting point. It was kind of loser's night, wasn't it? Hey, speaking of that, do you think this was a calculated decision that he would get bumped out of prime time? I think that's a fair question. I would love to hear your thoughts on it. I think it is. I don't think you can reasonably look at that itinerary and not think it was going to go long. So do you think Harris and the Democrats pushed Joe Biden out of prime time on purpose? I don't think it's because they didn't know what he was going to say, like he was going to go against them or something. I just think they didn't want him in the prime time position on a night that was supposed to be to honor him. Again, so insulting, so demeaning. Democrats lined up an endless list of speakers ahead of Biden to push his speech back as far as they could, so as few people as possible would hear it. The speech itself was written as a celebration of Biden's accomplishments, some real, many imagined. The actual nominee was an afterthought. Biden spoke of Harris only as someone who helped him, not for anything she ever did on her own. If the Harris campaign had any hopes that Joe would let them get distance from his record, they were dashed. Quote, "When I say we, I mean Kamala and me," he emphasized, reminding voters that there's no turning the page by voting for Harris. Biden tried to play the old hits, but they rung hollow. He talked about Charlottesville and how he claims Trump as president emboldened and praised anti-Semites. Isn't that amazing? At a time when Van Jones, of all people, saying the Democrat Party is marbled with anti-Semites, Joe Biden actually talking about the anti-Semitic protesters down the street, saying they have a fair point. They have a good point. We saw how anti-Semites have safe harbors, literal encampments on college campuses, immune from the law in Joe Biden's America. Biden even said of the pro-Hamas protesters, quote, "Those protesters out in the street, they've got a point." No, they don't, Joe. Just days after Tim Walz pledged that Democrats wouldn't call their opponents names, Biden called Trump a loser, a liar, a felon, and a sucker. Amid the usual rants about January 6th, there was the usual bald-faced lies, such as the claim that the Biden-Harris administration, quote, helped schools get back open after COVID, when in fact they ignored the recommendation of scientists to side with the teachers' unions in protracting school closures. They expected us to nod along, knowing it's not true. Yes, that was an outright lie. They're hoping that you don't remember history. That was a foggy time for many of us during COVID. They're hoping they don't remember that they caved to the teachers' union, and to the detriment of the young people who suffered during all that and now have struggles in their education because they were so far back from where they should be. But I'm going to continue. Of course, the pretense of one big happy family had to be maintained. Biden denied that he was angry at the Democrats who forced him off the ticket. Nancy Pelosi stood in the front row holding a "We Love Joe" sign. Wow. Just weeks after wielding the knife. She came to bury Joe, not to praise him. Biden stayed mostly on script, leaning on the prepared text to keep him from wandering off. But he was shouty as a result. By the end, nobody would wonder why Democrats decided they needed to dump this guy. The amazing thing is that they made it as far as July pretending he was up to the job. And that's the biggest part. That's the scandal. That's the cover-up. The Democrat Party and the media kept this cognitive decline as secret as they possibly could. And if they could have kept it secret longer, he would have been renominated to run for president this week. Think about that. That is a cover-up. The American people, poll after poll shows, believe that Harris was a part of that cover-up. And how could she not be? If she was a part of every decision made in the White House, of course she was interacting with Biden. Yet the media refuses to highlight, just like they refuse to really push back at the fact that she hasn't given a press conference or an interview. They don't care about the cover-up because it's anybody but Trump. They don't care that the elites picked who it was going to be, that the Democrat voters had no say in it whatsoever, because at the end of the day, as long as it's not Trump, they don't care who's running. It could literally be anyone. Oh, we got to take another break. My goodness, we are going on all cylinders this morning. Sorry, I'm trying to find the right break. We are doing a lot of great work because of you reaching out and commenting on what you thought of the DNC. I'm proud of this show, and we only got about half an hour left. So let's keep it going. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking.
Save big and sleep better with a new mattress from Raymore and Flanigan. Get incredible savings on top brands, up to $1,000 off heirloom sets, $300 off Bell & Nest Queen sets, or a $200 MasterCard reward card or $300 Raymore and Flanigan gift card when you purchase a Tempur-Pedic. Our mattresses are in stock and ready for easy delivery the very next day for free. Don't wait. Get your best rest tomorrow night with the right mattress for you from Raymore and Flanigan.
Your wallet is always in danger. Criminals can scan and hack your information without you even knowing. Worse yet, it's bulky and so disorganized. But not anymore, because Slim is in. Introducing Slim Mint, an ultra-thin RFID blocking wallet that keeps your cards and cash truly protected. And now may be your last chance to get it for a low price. Slim Mint uses the latest RFID blocking technology to prevent thieves from scanning your wallet and stealing your info.
Having your information stolen is a nightmare, but with Slim Mint, I know I'm protected.
With money clips, cash can easily fall out, but with the auto-locking Slim Mint, your cards and money stay securely in place. Then just press the button to release the lock. Slim Mint is ergonomically designed to optimize space and keep your belongings organized. It has a built-in cash clip and a flexible outer band to securely fit your additional cards and your extra cash. Even with everything you see here in the Slim Mint, it's still ultra-thin. Bulky wallets are uncomfortable, but the Slim Mint is so compact it fits in any size pocket. Plus, it keeps everything easy to access.
Slim Mint holds everything, from pictures to credit cards, my driver's license. Yeah, it's still so thin.
Say bye-bye to bent cards and damaged magnetic strips. Slim Mint keeps them protected. It's crush-resistant and can really take a beating. Similar wallets sell for over $100. But call or click now and get Slim Mint for just $29.99. Order in the next 5 minutes and you'll get an instant $10 discount. So it's only $19.99. But wait, due to rising costs and supply chain shortages, this may be your last chance to get Slim Mint at this low price. There's a strict limit of 3 Slim Mint wallets while supplies last. You still have time to get your very own Slim Mint wallets, but you must act fast. Don't wait. Order now.
Call 1-800-655-8103. That's 1-800-655-8103. Call or visit slimmintwallet.com. So call 1-800-655-8103 now.
And we are back. Broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Thank you for all the waves. We had the viewer asking what the waves are. Now they're a part of the wave tradition here. We're up to 17. Thank you for that. A couple of comments from viewers. Boy, you guys are on fire today. You're doing a great job. First up, he's going to get angry. This is about Biden. This viewer has a feeling that he's going to get so angry that he's going to start spewing out his real feelings and his anger. And if whenever he was in a position to console, this is in reference to Scott Jennings had mentioned it, that he was kind of a master, considered a master at eulogies. That is Biden. And the Democrat Party made Biden give his own eulogy last night. And I thought that was a very good point by Scott Jennings. So this viewer says, whenever he was in a position to console people with deaths or other things in life, he always turned it back onto himself and his loss of his son, which God bless him. That's a horrible thing to go through. But it always turned back to him and his feelings rather than for the people who were hurting. I think that's a good point. It was always about Biden. He was supposed to be giving out healing. And I like this part. And it wouldn't surprise me at the end of one of his angry sprints, angry feelings, Biden turns and looks right at Pelosi and says, "Et tu, Pelosi, et tu," just like in Caesar's time. Thank you. Thank you very much. Next up, Ken from Horsehead says, "Frank, I don't feel bad for Biden's ouster." That's fair, Ken. "It does show that when the Democrats feel you're no longer useful, they will kick you to the side. But Biden knew that he was installed as a puppet to be used as the Democrats saw fit. And Biden created a situation that he couldn't fight. He has obviously been a corrupt politician, getting millions from foreign governments for political favors. He had to do as the Democrats say or be prosecuted. You reap what you sow." Yes, and I know Trump talks about it a lot, the idea that they were going to boot him out through constitutional means and have him go through that embarrassment. I understand what you're saying, Ken. I don't mean, listen, we know his record. I don't feel bad for those reasons, but it's like the debate where you're watching something and go, wow, this guy isn't doing well. And in this case, it's, wow, that guy's been loyal to his party for 60 plus years, and they stabbed him in the back like that and then insult him with prime time. No, it's not. I'm not going to lose any sleep or cry over it. I'm just saying, talk about the true loyalty of the Democrat Party. At the end of the day, it's all about electability, nothing more. It's all about their power. So, yeah, no, it's not. Trust me, I'm not losing any sleep over it. But I do think it goes to show you a lot about who the Democrat Party is. And Nancy Pelosi saying, I did what I had to do. Stone cold killers, folks. Next up, comment from a viewer. Pushing Joe out of primetime was calculated. I agree. Most of the older voters, like me, would be snoring in the recliners by 10:30. They had to have him there. It was the next best thing to putting him in the basement. The under 60 voters and some curious Republicans were kept watching just to see him in his defeated condition. Yeah, and what he would have to say. We've got a bunch of other comments coming in, which we'll read after the next break. Colin Reed, I thought, had a good way of putting it. Look past the tributes, because yesterday was supposed to be all tributes to Joe Biden. Joe Biden had been shuffled aside now in every sense of the word. Ironically, he handed his party's nomination to Harris, a candidate who had earned precisely 0 votes. And yet, Joe Biden's still talking about democracy has prevailed. And whose previous bid for the White House imploded, meaning Kamala Harris, well before the first votes were cast. 4 years after setting records by winning more votes than any other U.S. presidential candidate, and less than a month after his voluntary withdrawal from the presidential race, a contest which, by the way, he received 14 million votes, folks, Biden delivered a fiery, near hour-long stem winder before being shuffled aside in every sense of the word. Instead of an entire convention to nominate him for a second term, Biden's speaking slot was a proverbial kiddie table, stretching well past midnight and happening 3 days before his second in command took the stage. It was an unthinkable series of events prior to the June debate. We're not going to go through that. We know all of what happened. But you have Nancy holding a sign that says, "We heart Joe," after she did what she had to do. Speaking of the, let me see, getting cut off here. His former governing partner, Barack Obama, who 8 years after discouraging his second in command from seeking a presidency against Hillary Clinton, was said to believe that Biden needed to seriously consider the viability of his candidacy. So everybody stabbed him in the back. But for all the talk about Harris's joy and the Democrats' momentum, remember this. Joe Biden beat a talented field of candidates in 2020, including the person vying to replace him. The last Harris presidential run was so lackluster, she dropped out in December of 2019, more than a month before the first votes were cast. In that sense, she shares a place in history with Biden, who was forced to withdraw back in 1988 because of plagiarism. Now, but you do got to keep that in mind. That's why I do believe that they are going to keep her in the basement. They're going to keep, they're not going to have a problem with her not giving interviews, that they are totally fine with kind of just wearing or winding down the clock, running out the time. As the festivities kick off in Chicago, Biden can say he kept his promise, albeit unwillingly, about serving as a bridge candidate. It's still an open question about where that bridge leads. Okay. I think the scariest point yesterday was when Biden said, folks down the street have a point, meaning the anti-Israel, anti-American protest. I need to grab a glass of water. I got a frog in my throat. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox reading your comments when we come back.
Looks like y'all got a lot of stuff here in your water.
You're never gonna believe it, but this can filter up to 60 different contaminants from your water.
It's all about cleaner drinking water.
Dude, that's good water.
And that's good water.
Now that's good water.
That's good water, eh?
No matter where you live, there's a Culligan water expert nearby. At Culligan, we think about your water, so you don't have to.
Call today to schedule your free water test.
Are you 50? Would you like to get up to 33% more income in retirement? Call now and get this free book, Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers, from a leading financial firm on maximizing your income in retirement. And if you call right now, as a bonus, we'll throw in a free annuity rate report. Don't miss out on this opportunity because supplies are limited. Both books are yours free, just for calling Annuity General today.
Call 800-354-5972.
We are back. Broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. So many great comments. There's so many great comments. All right, we'll get to a couple of them, and then we'll wrap up the program with any last-minute ones that come in. Here we go. From a viewer. There were moments that I was thinking Biden was going to declare himself back in the race. That would have been something. Hey, the way this presidential race is going, maybe not out of the question. Next up, good morning, Frank. Good morning. I love your show, and I'm grateful for your political expertise. Well, hey, thank you very much. Listen to that. Thank you. That means a lot to me. We got some great comments coming in this morning, don't we? We got a couple others that came in right when I was coming back from break. We'll get to those in a moment. Going back to Ken's point about the alleged Biden corruption, right? Did you read the impeachment report? Andrew McCarthy says, if you read the impeachment report, it shows why Democrats were desperate to get rid of corrupt Biden. We don't have time to go through all of it because we only got about 15 minutes left. But this is at Andrew McCarthy is a former federal prosecutor. This is at New York Post this morning. But the final report is an important counter argument to what Democrats will serve up. It also is a reminder of how hard Democrats and the media propped up Joe, despite all the evidence of unethical behavior. Keep that in mind as they prop up Harris, and they are currently in that process of propping up Harris. CNN's Jake Tapper stated that the Democrat Party's platform is written in a way that allows Vice President Harris to stay vague and stay unspecific, which is what she's going to do. That is her strategy, to just make it to November, to get it in the barn. CNN political director David Challen said, I think in talking to some folks, the idea of reopening the platform to try to fit in not yet fully developed Kamala Harris policies while they were quickly changing, they thought they would be opening a can of worms, right? And that there would be all of a sudden some fights about what goes in the platform, and they wanted to avoid that at all costs. So they're willing to take the hit on the fact that the platform is sort of a relic of the Biden era because it's a non-binding thing. Right? Tapper said, and we should note that this also allows Vice President Harris to stay vague, stay unspecific, and say that's from the Biden platform. That's not ours. And you can't really attack her on that, given the fact that Donald Trump didn't even have a platform in 2020. Tapper further stated that the GOP platform is like a leaflet. Hey, let's keep her vague and unspecific because that's how she's running her candidacy. But let's make sure to get that. Let's make sure to get that dig at the Republicans. CNN host Michael Smerskonish was on what? Doesn't say what show. He said Kamala Harris is not indestructible. She has served as an undistinguished, nearly invisible vice president. There appears no accomplishment she can point to for her most important responsibility, addressing the origin of the border crisis. Second, she picked a nice guy from Minnesota in Tim Walz, but he might turn out to have as many warts as J.D. Vance. And I don't mean the allegation of stolen valor. He spoke sloppily in that instance, but I don't think there's much there. But the CNN K-File report of his congressional campaign's deceit over his DWI is a real and embarrassing issue. As usual, the cover-up was worse than the crime. It's still too soon to know how much she might regret not picking Josh Shapiro. She couldn't pick Josh Shapiro because Josh Shapiro, at a time when Van Jones says the Democrat Party is marbled with anti-Semitism, Josh Shapiro is Jewish, and she didn't want to lose that extremist vote. Also, I know CNN did report on it. They did. But are you seeing a lot of coverage of the DWI with Walz and his campaign lying about it? But I'm going to continue. Third, thus far, Harris has had a free ride. She's not given any media interviews, hasn't faced voter questioning. When asked recently, she said that she would give an interview by the end of the month. She said that on August the 8th. No doubt she wants more time on the clock to prepare answers as to why she's flipped on healthcare, fracking, weed, and the death penalty, to name just a few. Sooner or later, she's going to be held accountable. By who? And face pressure that she has thus far largely avoided. Just yesterday, her first substantive economic policy proposal, it received mixed reviews. Bernie Sanders loved it. He called her idea a strong, progressive agenda, but the Washington Post said her proposals were a gimmick. And like others have said, If you're being accused of being a communist, perhaps you don't start with price fixing. But I don't know who's going to hold her accountable. I think the media's fine with this, just like they were fine. Look at all these comments. Just like they were fine with Biden's campaign from the basement. But Smern Konish added, CNN's analysis said that her plan would create more problems than it solves. You'd think that she enjoys another week of positive coverage amidst the DNC, which will feature 3 Democrat presidents. But with passions inflamed about Israel and Gaza, there is an air of unpredictability as to what will happen in Chicago. As I like to say, still to come, events we could never foresee and individuals whose names that today we don't even know. I don't believe she's going to be held accountable. I don't think she has to have any real substance until the media calls her on it. But the media was fine when she said, no, we're going to do one interview before the end of the month. So she said that on August 8th. It's now August 20th. She is still not given an interview. Imagine that. When we come back, we're going to talk about what James Carville had to say, what David Axelrod had to say, a lot about your comments. Got some waves coming in. Thank you there. Stay with us. This is the final break of the Tuesday edition of Frankly Speaking, and we'll be right back after this.
I'm Marianne Crawford. I've lived here for 70 years, but I do fine right here in my house, and I want to be here as long as I can be. And I feel comfortable knowing that if something happened to me, someone would know because of the cameras that are installed in various spots in my home. That has been a wonderful gift to me to be able to have that security and that support from Full Circle America, and that's what it's all about.
What's up, guys? What I'm about to show you is going to change the way you shave your head forever.
You can shave your head in 90 seconds or less.
With no cuts or nicks. It's 100% waterproof.
It even works in the shower.
Introducing Remington's Balder Boss. With increased flex and 5 dual-track floating head design, get over 60% more head coverage for a faster, closer shave and skin-close results.
No nicks, no scrapes. Fit in the palm of my hand, and the results were amazing.
Shave in the shower or with any foam or gel. With Japanese-grade steel blades, plow through the thickest of hair. Anytime, anywhere. There's even a pop-up trimmer to complete your perfect groove. Now, you can try the Remington Balder Boss in your home for 30 days for just $14.99. Complete with a 5-year limited warranty and 100% satisfaction guarantee. You can also get our ear, nose, and brow trimmer free. Just pay separate processing and handling.
Give it a try. You won't be disappointed.
Order your Balder Boss.
And we are back, wrapping up today's edition of Frankly Speaking. Have we had a lot of fun or what? Couple last quick comments. This coming from James Carville yesterday on The Lead on CNN. He said, Democrats are feeling better. That's undeniable. The vice president would have to win almost by 3 points in the popular vote to win the Electoral College. And I also would point out that when President Trump runs, he overperforms his polling average. He did it in 2016. A national poll were actually pretty spot on, but they didn't poll in the state. Why? I think people are using AI now to get these quotes. But what he's saying is, yeah, he always does better than the polling. And I think the reason for that is the media and those who have doxed people and try to destroy people's lives for supporting Trump. There's a lot of people that aren't going to say they support Trump, but at the end of the day, they don't want to lose family, friends, whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, they pull that lever for him. Then they polled in the states in 2020, and you would have thought Biden was going to win these states by 8 points. He didn't. President Biden did no such thing. So these people need to have some reality infused in their optimism. I'm glad that people are feeling better. I'm glad that people are excited. But anybody that looks at this with any sense of history, any sense of objective, sees that there's plenty possible pitfalls that we face, that we need to acknowledge and stop being giddy all the time. David Axelrod said yesterday on during CNN's coverage of the DNC, he was asked, how encouraged should Democrats be? Is there a danger of them actually being kind of too euphoric? Axelrod said, yeah, I've been talking about this for some time. Look, she had made extraordinary progress. We were all in Milwaukee a month ago, and there was euphoria there, and a sense that this race was over, that they were going to win by a landslide, perhaps sweeping big majorities in the House and Senate, and things have changed dramatically. But this is still a very competitive race. If the election were today, I'm not sure who would win, and I think it may well be President Trump, because it's an electoral college fight. In those battleground states, we are looking at national numbers right at the top of this program. It's misleading. And I've said several times here that, for Democrats to win those battleground states, they have to have a significant lead in the Electoral College. Remember, Joe Biden won by 7 million votes nationally last time, and a margin of 45,000 votes or 44,000 votes in the 3 closest battleground states combined. So she's right to be telling people it's good to be enthusiastic. That enthusiasm is really important for the Democrat Party, but you have to turn it into energetic action in order to win the election. I think that's going to be a part of what you hear during the DNC. All right. By the way, Harris gets 84% positive coverage, according to the Media Research Center. 84% positive coverage for Harris, all while avoiding the media. Joe Biden's former chief of staff, Ron Klain, admits that Kamala Harris failed as vice president. We were all united behind the idea she would be successful. We just didn't find the path to do it. I think it's a question of loyalty and dedication and focus on the mission. Daniel McCarthy says untested Harris is repacking Biden's failures as a recipe for catastrophe. Kamala Harris is a more viable candidate than Biden was in the final weeks, but she isn't prepared to be a better president, and Democrats know it. Far left Axios even admitted that Kamala Harris ran away from her border responsibilities. Tim Walz commuted the life sentence of a teen charged with killing an 11-year-old girl. That teen has been busted twice since then. Marion Burrell was given a life murder sentence for the 2002 killing of 11-year-old Tisha Edwards, who was struck by a stray bullet while doing homework. But Walz voted to commute Burrell's sentence when the governor was a member of the Minnesota Board of Pardons in 2020. Burrell was 16 at the time of the shooting. Police said he shot Tisha while attempting to hit a rival gang member. Seems like someone that you want to commute their life sentence. 2 years after this, Burrell had been in and out of court hearings for 2 separate arrests. He was first arrested in 2023 for illegally possessing a gun and fifth-degree possession of a controlled substance. So Newt Gingrich says the media is creating a fantasy version of the Harris-Walz ticket. As British journalist Tim Stanley said, yesterday Kamala was an idiot. Today she is the second coming of Lincoln with quirks that once made her absurd, that crazy laugh, her random use of unrelated words, rebranded as a breath of fresh air. It is being reported that Kamala Harris turned down the debate on Fox News. That's what Trump is saying. Comrade Kamala Harris has just informed us that she will not do the Fox News debate on September the 4th. I'm not surprised by the development because I feel that she knows it is very difficult at best for her to defend her record-setting flip-flopping on absolutely everything she once believed in, including her statement that there will be no fracking in Pennsylvania and her horrible performance on the border. Our borders are where millions of criminals and people from mental institutions and terrorists have been allowed to pour into our country, totally unchecked and unvetted. All right, we are out of time. Oh, Elon Musk announced that he would be willing to serve in the Trump administration. There you go. That's enough. Thank you for all the comments. What a fun show this morning. Thank you for being a part of it. I look forward to hearing your analysis on day 2 of the DNC. Kicking off tonight, Obama is going to be the main speaker. So make sure you tune in because the most important point is to hear what you, the members in our community, have to say about the convention and about all the issues of the day. So have a great day, everyone, and we will be back tomorrow morning starting at 6 a.m. for Frankly Speaking, only on WYDC TV, Big Fox. We will see you tomorrow bright and early. I look forward to it already. Have a great day, everyone.
It's the Chevrolet Summer Drive Sales Event and Blaze Alexander Chevrolet Buick GMC of Mansfield. The brand new Traverse is here. We have 5 in stock and they're ready to roll. Plus, we have the all-new Equinox EV on the lot. We're offering discounts and rebates as much as $11,000 on new Silverado 1500s and up to $6,000 on Silverado 2500 and 3500s. Get rates as low as 1.9% on much of the new Chevy lineup. Stop and shop or check us out at BlazeChevyMansfield.com because we're taking the deals the other guys won't.